Keefe. We're going to be talking about quarterback injuries today.
Yeah, I'm ready. They're dropping like flies, these guys.
Not a great day yesterday in the NFL. League-wide.
No.
Guys getting dinged up. Josh Allen, bloody nose over the weekend. Baker Mayfield dinged up last night. And a bunch of quarterbacks out for their teams.
Baker Mayfield's still talking trash, though.
I did like that.
Still talking trash and
I do
winning
appreciate
games.
that. I can't believe you ever didn't believe in him. That's wild that you were ever down on Baker Mayfield.
I've now picked him to win the MVP 2 of the last 5 years. So I'm pro Baker Mayfield.
It's a way to overcompensate.
That's right.
So you have quarterbacks dropping like flies in the NFL at the same time while we're championing Drake Maye getting out, running more, being himself, being athletic.
More scampers.
Ran for the touchdown, more darts, more scampers.
Yep.
But specifically the scampers for Drake Maye. Jayden Daniels may not play this weekend, knee sprain. Justin Fields, I don't know that he really belongs in this group, but concussion protocol. Brock Purdy already missed last week, shoulder injury and turf toe. Mac Jones replaced him. We found out yesterday after the show, J.J. McCarthy probably going to miss. Could be 2 to 4 weeks. Also turf toe, I think.
Or poor performance.
Could be poor performance. Could be that.
You get benched or hurt. Hard to say.
Good day to talk to Tommy Curran.
Yeah.
At high noon.
That's his guy.
And then, of course, the big name, and we did talk about this yesterday, Joe Burrow might miss the rest of the season, but is going to be out 3 months with turf toe. So you have quarterbacks, and not all of them got hurt on scrambles. Not all of them got hurt being out in the open field and being athletic, but with quarterbacks dropping like flies left and right, is there a reason to baby Drake Maye going forward? And should we dial back our conversation about let Drake Maye let it rip and go out there and be himself?
So, no, I mean, a lot of those guys are athletic, mobile type quarterbacks, but that's also the vast majority of the league. And so is Joe Burrow running around like crazy? No. And he has maybe the worst injury out of all those guys. So I just think it's one of those things where maybe this also goes back to camps and practices and how, like, none of these guys get touched at all. Then you get thrown into a game where you are getting hit for real and maybe the body doesn't respond to it. Every year there's always injuries, and it's one of the things quarterback injuries, I mean. And, you know, that's one of the things that's so remarkable about Tom Brady was just that he played every game with the exception of the one season. Like, he was always out there. And you'd look around the league, how many times would we talk about the Patriots schedule and be like, oh, it's a backup quarterback, it's a third-string quarterback? It's because the starter got hurt. Like, it seems like it is just what you get almost year in and year out, and that's why just being a durable quarterback is such a key factor for anybody's success. But I wouldn't change how I use Drake Maye and, like, play scared just because other guys are getting hurt.
I mean, I think the people who want to baby Drake Maye or don't want to see Drake Maye run, and there are a lot of you. I mean, we've talked to you. We've heard it here in the city from media members as well. There's a lot of you who say, well, he's the franchise quarterback and he needs to be a passer first. And, oh, by the way, I don't want to get him hurt. I mean, this last week is evidence of that. And I acknowledge you can't get Drake Maye killed. You don't want to get him killed. And there is a fine line there. But I think the best quarterbacks in the league play a certain way. I think the best quarterbacks in the league use their athleticism. I think you saw on Sunday against Miami what his athleticism can do to a defense. I mean, not just the plays that he picked up in the touchdown that we played for you there off the top, but again, the stat I referenced yesterday from Phil Perry, Miami played a ton of zone defense because they don't want to turn their back to the line of scrimmage and run with receivers and give Drake Maye room to rip off big plays. They're going to defend you differently, and they have to account for his legs. So I wouldn't baby him. I wouldn't shut down the running. In fact, that's one of the things I was very encouraged by last week. But I will acknowledge when you see some of these mobile quarterbacks, and Jayden Daniels is certainly one of those guys, even if Joe Burrow, who moves pretty well, is more at the other end. He's not a pure running quarterback. Mm-hmm. I do look at some of these QBs dropping like flies, and I say, okay, I understand why people are concerned. I'm with you, though. I wouldn't change my approach with Drake Maye. I continue to cultivate that, develop that. You wanted to pick his spots.
Yeah.
You don't need him running it 15 times a game. 10's probably getting close to the limit of what you really want to see. I know some of those were kneel downs, but yeah, I wouldn't change.
No,
despite the quarterback injuries, the rash of them, I wouldn't change the way that he played last week and the way that I want him to play.
Yeah, I just think because we talked all the last couple of weeks about what makes Drake Maye the best, and then you're going to change some of that because you're scared of, like, other injuries. Like, I don't think you can play it that way because you're not going to get the most out of him, and it also doesn't guarantee that he's going to be healthy. Right, like it just doesn't do that. This isn't like, hey, maybe let's take Rob Gronkowski off of field goal, right? Like he got hurt one time trying to block on a field goal or PAT, and you're like, I don't think he needs to be out there. Like the risk reward there makes no sense. But as far as when he's on the field, you got to do it. Last year, I brought up these names a lot just because we were talking about the pros and cons of Drake Maye running. But Jayden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, even my guy Bo Nix, you would think of those guys. Kyler Murray, those are running athletic quarterbacks, right?
I think they had the 5 most attempts, right? When you did this stat,
so Jalen Hurts was another one.
Oh,
Jalen Hurts did miss a game. I think it might have been, though, because they had the number 1 seed, I believe.
But I thought he missed a game for both late in the year.
Did.
I think he missed one due to injury and one because they were up. Yeah.
So you can use him if you want. So Jalen Hurts played in 15 games. But he also then came back and then won 3 more games, including the Super Bowl. But all those other names I mentioned, Daniels, Jackson, Josh Allen, Bo Nix, Kyler Murray, even Justin Herbert, all played 17 games. So those guys all played with their style. They put up crazy numbers. Almost all those guys that I mentioned were in the playoffs, MVP, runner-up of the MVP. They played their best football last year. They played in every game. And it would have been crazy to suggest to any one of those guys, like, hey, you know what we're going to do is we're going to keep you in the pocket, and any sign of trouble, throw it away. Don't try to get the extra yard. Like, if you really play scared with them, you wouldn't get the best out of them. And Drake Maye looked so much more comfortable Sunday than he did in week 1. Like, it's not even funny. And part of it was he knew when I need to, I can run a little bit, and it's not going to be the end of the world. And I think it just made him have more confidence, and he looked like he had more command of the whole game.
It is funny how much a week can change here early in the year. Mm-hmm. Last week, we're ripping Maye specifically. We're questioning the play calling and the relationship between Vrabel and McDaniels and Maye. And I think, by the way, we were right to do all that. And I think McDaniels did tangibly change in a couple of different ways. We talked about the pre-snap motion, some of the screen passes that he dialed up for Maye. I think they had him on the move more. And that's not just pure runs, but getting out, rolling to his right, bootlegging to the right. Things like this, these are different than what we saw the first week. And I'd still question the overall health of the relationship between Vrabel and McDaniels, but a win puts that on ice. We're also talking last week, man, where is Drake Maye in the 2024 quarterback class? And this is something we can revisit, if not every week, certainly every couple of weeks.
We can power rank it every week.
I mean, a week ago, and really all offseason, last year, Jayden Daniels, clearly the best quarterback in that class. J.J. McCarthy gets his first start, 4th quarter comeback, and you go, okay, well, where is Drake Maye? Now Daniels is hurt, and I would
number
one. I don't know if I'm going there yet.
But like, if you are willing to really ride the roller coaster, and like he had the best week 2 out of all those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, he was great, and Daniels wasn't as great. Bo Nix threw a pick and his team lost. He did throw 3 touchdowns.
Nix lost. I was going to say, I think he was pretty good statistically.
He was. He threw a pick and he lost. So Drake Maye had a near perfect game and he won. So that's a whole lot different. J.J. McCarthy was awful. Michael Penix beat J.J. McCarthy, but he didn't even throw for a touchdown. And Caleb Williams got blown out. So like week 2, it wasn't even close. Like Drake Maye won with a knockout in week 2.
He may have had the worst week 1. He had the best week 2. So where does he fit in there? And then I'd be nervous about Jayden Daniels if I'm the Commanders, and I don't know if that's just living in the past with RG3 and some of the history at that spot, but I'd be nervous if I were them. J.J. McCarthy, it was a text line is right. It was a high ankle sprain for J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
So he's
also stinks.
He's going to miss time. And all of a sudden you look at it and go, okay, I feel just big picture in the quarterback landscape better about Drake Maye.
Well, it's funny. The conversation, too, about protecting Maye, and we sort of came out of it originally from, like, the Josh McDaniels aspect and, like, the play calling aspect, but also the offensive line and the Patriots putting resources into the O-line and using the number 4 overall pick on a lineman who also looked a lot better week 2 than he did week 1.
It's true.
But I don't know if you saw there's a stat going around about Joe Burrow's offensive lines every year he's been in the league and sort of where they rank.
Yeah. I don't have it in front of me, but I saw it.
It was like between 28th and 32nd and whatever the grading was. So just they've tried different bodies there. But it might be less of a play style and, like, actually literally protect the quarterback. If you want to keep your guy playing, maybe don't have the worst offensive line every single year.
Here you go. This is what you were talking about. Pass block win rate, Keefe. I'm sure you're well versed in that.
I was doing doing that breakdown over the weekend.
Since Burrow entered the league in 2020, 29th, 30th, 27th, 32nd, 28th.
Oh, so they did peak at 27. Okay, I was wrong. So they were a little bit better. But, so every single year he's been in the league, they have one of the 5 worst offensive lines.
Mm-hmm. I did see a stat this morning. Andrew Luck had to retire because he got sacked 156 times, whatever, in 71 games. Joe Burrow, through 71 games, sacked over 200 times.
So there you go. Andrew Luck was like, I'm going to stop playing because you guys can't protect me. I'm done with this. And, Joe Burrow is sort of headed down that road.
Yeah.
So that's another thing you need to do. If you want to protect Drake Maye, it's not just play calls. It's give him time. Give him time to throw. And week 2, they did. Week 1, less, but week 2, they did.
So does what happened in the last 48 hours at the quarterback position, and some of that news, I didn't realize Jayden Daniels might miss this week. We didn't know J.J. McCarthy was going to have this high ankle sprain until after we got off the air yesterday. Never mind some of the stuff we knew, like Joe Burrow, while we were on yesterday. In the last 24 to 48 hours, the quarterback landscape and what's happened there. 5 quarterbacks potentially going to be out this week. And again, others got dinged up. Baker Mayfield was looking rough last night at the end of that game. I mean, great final series, gutted it out, but it looked like he was laboring a little bit. Josh Allen got crushed on Sunday against the Jets. Not that the Bills had any trouble with the Jets in that game. Does that quarterback landscape and the shift in the last 24 to 48 hours, where they're getting hurt, rash of injuries, does that change your perspective on how the Patriots should utilize Drake Maye? Neither Keefe or I are changing our mind on it, but I understand the other side that says you got to protect the franchise. And this last week would tell you protecting the franchise is the way to go. You make a good point about Will Campbell. If you want to just
he's good.
Connect the dots to the Monday Night Football games last night. I don't know how much you stayed up for Monday Night Football. I watched almost till halftime. And then I saw some of the lines this morning. I was very bullish on Ashton Genty at pick 4.
Yeah.
Genty's been terrible. We saw him last week against the Pats.
Yeah.
I would have taken him over Will Campbell. Campbell's been pretty good. If you look at some of the advanced metrics and Pro Football Focus and the rankings and stuff like that, he had a lot of penalties week 1. He had another false start week 2. But mostly he's done the job. And I would say to his credit, you don't really notice him a ton, which is good for a left tackle.
Yeah, we had a couple texts yesterday being like, hey, nobody's mentioned Will Campbell, but that's a good thing. We haven't mentioned him at all because, offensive linemen and kickers, you hope that you could just sort of assume that they're going to be good. And then when they're not, that's when you start talking about them and you're airing them out. But you're right, Will Campbell, we went through yesterday's show and we were highlighting a lot of things. And, maybe we should have spent a little bit more time. He and Jared Wilson, who both those guys on the left side, their first game, you were like, oh, okay, this might be a long year for these guys. And they were both way better. They were way better. And even though Miami, I don't think is a great team by any stretch, and they've probably already quit on Mike McDaniel, they have some individually talented guys that can rush the passer, and the Patriots O-line was good. If they just knew what snap count it was, if Morgan Moses just stayed on side the whole time, they'd be okay.
Well, and Morgan Moses, again, was in a walking boot after the game.
Yeah, he
was penalized left and right, so who knows if he's even going to suit up this weekend, which would be a loss. I was reading Greg Bedard last night. He said the Patriots' 2 rookie linemen, Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, were better than the 3 veterans. He said they were nearly flawless other than the 2 penalties. He said Campbell was terrific.
I mean, Moses he had a false start 3 times, and Garrett Bradbury snapped the ball on the ground. So, Wilson and Campbell, as you're watching the game, you didn't notice them doing anything bad the whole time.
So, if you're talking about protecting your quarterback, Patriots have put Drake Maye, it seems, in a position to do that here through the first couple of weeks. I wasn't necessarily in favor of that plan. I wasn't sure Campbell was going to be a left tackle. We only have 2 weeks of data, but so far he looks the part. And so you look at the mobile quarterbacks, you look at Drake Maye and what we expect out of him this year, and you want to keep him healthy, but you also don't want to limit him. And I think you saw what happened in week 1 when you limit him. No one liked the results. No one was happy with the results. The Raiders, by the way, came crashing back to earth on Monday Night Football last night. Geno Smith didn't look quite as good against the Chargers.
No, I was told he was great, though.
Yesterday we were calling him a mediocre quarterback, and the same texter kept sending over and over. He's actually a good quarterback. Nah. You made him look good in week 1.
He's very much in the middle.
And I think some of the Patriots' play calling made Drake Maye look pretty pedestrian.